Hi, welcome to the Football Show with myself, Tam McManus. Joining me this week, Allan Ruff, Scott Allan and our special guest, Mark Reilly. Firstly, Mark, your nickname's Mavis. There's a few nicknames in world football, but I've never heard Mavis. How did that come about?
It's quite a boring one, Tam, to be honest. Right. I left Motherwell, joined Kilmarnock, come in the dressing room, I think it was the first or second day, so never had a nickname. The boys are like, you got a nickname? I said no. So I think it was Bobby Williamson and big boy Paul Fleckney, big centre half, mind him, Ruffy. So at that time there was about 3 stations in the telly, and one of the main programmes was Coronation Street. Right. There was a character on Coronation Street called Mavis Reilly. So Bobby's like, we'll call him Mavis. It was that bad, but it stuck. And for then on, everybody calls me Mavis. Even my missus and the contacts and the phones got me as Mavis.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, just looking at some nicknames here, one size fits all.
Who's that?
Do you get that, Ruffy?
Aye, but who is it?
Crystal Palace.
Who is
get
it?
The nickname, one size in his name.
No.
Fits all. Fits all.
All right, okay.
Psycho. Who was Psycho, Ruffy?
No.
Pierce.
Stuart Pearce. The Divine Ponytail.
Berta Baggio?
Yes. Duncan Disorderly.
Duncan Ferguson.
Dave.
Just Dave.
Cesara. A Piscaletta. Scottish nicknames are Oliver Tivoli. Bombscare. Paul Wright.
Bunyan.
How was he called? Bunyan? Something to do with his feet?
I'm not sure actually.
Right.
He came with a nickname Bunyan, and he came to Killie and it just carried on. Never asked him actually.
Aye, Bunyan.
I used to travel with him as well.
He's Neil Point and Disappointing.
Aye.
Aye, Ruffy, get that?
I got that one, aye.
Fell off a cliff here, didn't
it? Maybe we'll talk about. We'll go to Kilmarnock first. Obviously, your best spell. You had 2 spells at Kilmarnock. Bobby Williamson. We'll talk about Bobby first. Obviously, I worked under Bobby at Hibs, but you worked under him and won the Scottish Cup with Kilmarnock. What was your experience as a Bobby as a manager?
I actually played with Bobby, believe it or not. Bobby was a teammate,
right.
And then became manager. He was
busy striker. He strikes with somebody that would put yourself about.
He was Bobby, I would say, one of the most aggressive players I played with. He was a top chain in a minute.
Aye.
But as a manager, he wasn't confrontational. It was strange. He totally changed. Aye, but as a player, very aggressive. As a manager, he was great working defensively. We KB and Jimmy Clark, and they worked on the defensive side. But with some decent players, you guys like Durrant, Paul Wright, you've mentioned. So when we had the ball, he just let us go and play off the cuff.
Any stories about Bobby? I've got a couple from my time at Hibs. Have you got any for Kilmarnock?
I
know he was extensively into his team talks, and we go through tactics, in detail.
I think you're kind of touching on how short his team talks were. I remember I went through a wee spell when you had a settled team, and it was fairly easy. You had a fair idea what the team might be. I remember we had a wee kind of sweepstake because Bobby would come in the dressing room and big Gordon Marshall would be sitting at the first peg, the goalie. And then when Bobby came in, turn the radio off, that would put the timer would start. So we used to have a sweepstake, see how long his team talk would be. It'd be like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. He'd walk in and say, same team, same subs as last week.
He
actually had that one at, we played St Johnstone at Perth, and it was the same on the team bus. Stood up at the front of the bus, turned around and shouted, by the way, same team, same subs as last week, and walked off the bus. I've got headphones on now. What was that? Well, you're not playing today. Do you know? Bobby's just named the team. That's where he went. It was great.
I really liked Bobby. What was your team talks in terms of your manager? Best team talks you've received?
Best team talks that I probably responded.
I'm going to give you the worst one I ever received after you've told me this.
Best one's probably Neil Lennon before games against Rangers, I would say. Properly got you fired up, I think. Kind of made it like a personal thing against the player you were going to be playing against. I think I've had some long ones as well, to be fair. But I'd say Lenny, John Potter, obviously someone who Mark's played with as well, who was assistant manager. He was probably, you're talking about guys in the change room, he was probably the most light-hearted and actually got players up for it in a different way. I would say in terms of assistant managers, he would be my favourite over the
Get
queue.
yourself, Ruffy, best team talk you've had?
The best team talks for me would be Willie Ormond. When he was the manager of Scotland, he was hilarious. And he didn't know anybody's names or anything. just to shout you and you. And
I can't believe I've missed Dick Campbell in there.
We went to play Sweden. We were playing Sweden, and he came in to do the team talk. And he's walking about just opening bottles of Coca-Cola for everybody around the table. And Kenny Dalglish said something like, "Any danger men in this team, boss?" And he went, "Aye, keep your eye on the big blonde boy." And he's going, "They're all blonde." Which one? And he never knew. He never knew any names or anything. He always get names wrong. It was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Well,
Tam Burns had a great one at Ibrox. We just got promoted and we're going to Ibrox to play Rangers. Rangers are hammering everybody at the time. Tam started his team talk and the boot hamper had been emptied. So Tam's actually climbed in the boot hamper and he's shutting the hamper in his cell and he's shouting, "You're on your own, boys, today. Shut yourself in the boot hamper."
Who was that Rangers team under?
Oh, I think it'd probably been Walter.
Walter Smith. Walter Smith. Well, the two worst ones I've had. You know the film Any Given Sunday? Do you know the speech with Al Pacino?
Yep.
And he goes in and have inches, you know, like
Yep.
football's a game of inches and all that. Well, I get that played twice before a game.
I've had that.
The first one was Tony Mowbray's first game for Hibs. He came in, we played Kilmarnock at home, first game of the season. And we were flying in pre-season. We beat Leeds and Cardiff and Sunderland. We were flying. We played Kilmarnock at home and played that before the game. And we get beat 1-0. Chris Big Boy just scored late on. We battered them and couldn't. And then Allan played it before a semi-final at Hampden, Dundee against Gretna. And Gretna were flying at the time. Gretna probably had a bigger budget than Dundee. And Kernahan played that again at Hampden about half an hour before, just to go out. And I remember thinking, I've already seen this before at Hibs, and we get beat. And we get pumped 3-0 that game. So that's the two. Any Given Sunday, I know it's a great speech and all that, but don't play it before a game because it doesn't get the players fired up. Cause I've heard it twice and been beat twice.
Mine played Motherwell reserves one night. Big Tam for Forsyth. God love Big Tam. Big Tam named the team, said we're playing 4-4-3 tonight. We were all too terrified to tell him that was in 11 players.
That's George McNeil's joke, isn't it? George McNeil was the assistant manager to Jim Leishman down at Livingston. And he'd be standing beside Big Leish, and Big Leish would go, "Right, we're going to play 4 at the back, 3 in midfield. George, how many have we got left?"
Scott, you touched on Dick Campbell, and we obviously know Dick Campbell for the speaking circuit and all that. What was he like as a manager? Was he a good motivator? He comes across as quite funny.
Very different. Even that.
Did Pink not do a lot?
Pink did, but even Pink was mad at times. I think my first experience, obviously professional football, in terms of playing week in, week out, was my loan spell at Forfar. When I was 18, it was kind of the route that we took. We went to Forfar for a bit and then came back, and then if you'd done well, you'd maybe get into the Dundee United first team. So the first time I turned up to training, we were doing the warm up, and the water was freezing cold. Trained at just at the Astro outside St Johnstone's pitch, and the game was like a team of 8 and a team of 8, and they were chasing you about, and you were slapping each other in the thighs to kind of get warm. So you don't want to get slapped in the thighs because it was so cold. So everybody's sprinting about this pitch. I've obviously came from Craigaveen, who was quite structured at the time, and we're just all slapping each other across the thighs to get warm all day type of things. And then comes to the Saturday, boys are turning up late for the game who were policemen and that, so it was kind of culture shock. He's up winning headers, going up for headers in the change room, taking his wee cap off, and just you go up and win it, and you go up and dominate, just turn into the channels, and that's it, we'll go up and play. In the first game, I actually had Alloa away, I'll never forget it. In the first half, I just kind of went with how the team was playing. I remember walking in at the end of the first half thinking, right, if I keep playing like this, I'll be released for Dundee United in the next 6 months. I need to go and just play my game. And I went, obviously second half came out, went and started taking the ball off the defenders and that. Yeah, but I ended up playing well when he said, "Right, I'll never tell you how to play ever again." And they just let me do what I wanted. 4 weeks I was called back to Dundee United. But then fast forward 10 years, going back to Arbroath, it was the exact same way.
It changed.
It was very interesting. And there was a motive. You obviously seen what he'd done with the Arbroath team in the Championship that season. I came the following year. It was tough. We ended up staying up, but it was tough. And I think maybe coming to the end of your career when you've had so many different kind of very structured individuals, it was I quite liked it again because it kind of took me back to
I think there's more ways to skin a cat. I mean, if you're successful at it, why would you change? You know, and Dick Campbell's been very successful, obviously, albeit in probably lower leagues, but you'll probably kick himself not winning the league when Kilmarnock won it that year, when didn't Kilmarnock went 1-0 up. But I'm just talking about Kilmarnock. I'm looking at the screen here.
I was leaving St Johnstone and I got a phone call for Dick was at Brecon at the time. So he phones me on the Monday, always remember it. He went, Mavis, Dick Campbell here. Here you're leaving St Johnstone. I says, that's right. I hadn't said to him, but Gus McPherson had phoned me, so I was going to St Mirren. And he said, listen, this is what's happening. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to convince me how I should sign you. I said, Dick, is it not meant to be the other way around about? And he went, no, 5 minutes you've got. Convince me in 5 minutes how I should sign you for Brecon City.
What did you say?
I went, the only chance you've got, Dick, is if you're going to ground share with Motherwell, because I ain't driving up.
The
character, isn't it?
He was. We're talking about the 19, obviously the cup team at Kilmarnock. It's a great, obviously probably your greatest achievement winning the Scottish Cup at Kilmarnock. But just talk us through the rounds before that. How many games did you play out? You know, what was the fixtures going through to the final, obviously against Falkirk?
We were terrible, I can remember. I think we played East Stirling first round at Rugby Park. I think we scraped through. We were terrible. In fact, we were terrible up with the quarters. We played Clyde again. I think we beat Clyde by the odd goal at Broadwood. Really poor. Went to Cappielow, which is always a hard place to go. We actually won 5-2 that day. Played well. And then the semis we played Dundee United, who out with the Old Firm at the time are probably the Forum team. Went to a replay, so it was a typical semi-final, really tight, tense game. We managed to sneak through in the replay and get obviously Falkirk in the final, which was a big shock because they were playing Celtic in the other semi. So yeah, I think felt a bit of pressure then because it was Falkirk. Probably Falkirk boys felt the same because I think we were aware that you're never going to get a better chance to win a cup. And that's no disrespect to Falkirk because they would have thought the exact same playing Kilmarnock.
I'm looking at the team, 4-4-2, you were in the middle of the park with Gary Holt. What was your role in the team? Box to box, so you kind of
I think Gary
things up. Gary was kind of similar.
I was more kind of sit behind the play and kind of cover the back four, more defensive minded. Gary was more box to box. He was a powerhouse. Went on and did well in the Premiership in England, but no, that was his strength. He was a big, powerful guy, great runner, box to box. So he was probably more kind of up and down, and I was more a kind of a sitter and just like the rest. Because the rest of the players we had, the wide players, I think Burke and Bagan played that day, and then Jim McIntyre and Paul Wright, wee Bunyan up front.
See, playing that position, obviously back then, were they playing through you?
Quite a lot, yeah. Aye, I would try and go on it and always kind of kept it simple. So yeah, you get it for the back four if you could, and then give it to somebody who's maybe a wee bit more creative. So I enjoyed that. It was probably my best position, to be honest.
It does help when you've got guys who are willing to give you, even in the tight areas, I think. And you mentioned Holt. I remember him even when I was younger. It helps when you've got somebody who's willing to take guys away, because when you've got to realise the bombs, it kind of frees up a bit of space for you to then get on the ball and play passes.
Who was the jokers in that team? I know you spoke about Dylan Kerr earlier. Played left back that day.
Dylan, Dylan was a character. Dylan came up for Red, and I can tell you a funny story about Dylan. He'll not mind you me telling a story about him actually, because he kind of bought a flat in Troon, Dylan, so he was really ingrained in the local community, and he used to go out and socialise with the Killie fans, and he was brilliant. Dylan loved the party. He was great, but kind of larger than life character. Loved to bomb forward. Mind we played Rangers, kind of digressing slightly for the cup final, but we played Rangers one day at Ibrox, and it's back then, but the goalies, they try to protect the goal mouth roughly in the warm-ups, so they would have the portable goal up at the kind of side of the pitch, up towards the halfway line. And Dylan was always quite loud, but I can looking back in the team bus, he was quite quiet. I never heard much from him. So we would go and do our warm-up, and it would be like the usual, the first 5 minutes, just do your own thing, and then we'd take a kind of structured team warm-up. So I've come out the tunnel and kind of running across the pitch and running back away. There's this, he's Dylan, who at the time was left back, playing against, in 20 minutes, playing against Brian Laudrup, who at the time was destroying everybody. Looks round, there's Dylan in the goals with the goalie gloves on. The portable goals, diving about, saving penalties for the subs. So I'm running back, I was raging, I'm like, is he doing? He says, he's playing against Laudrup in 20 minutes. He's in the goals, diving about. I said, look really unprofessional, look terrible. So I've ran up to him, I'm like, Dylan, what are you doing? Right, I just got the reek. It was stinking alcohol. He's like, Mavis. He says, I'm steaming. I says, what do you mean you're steaming? He says, I've not slept last night. He says, the milkman came. He says, I'm in the missus' purse to get money to pay the milkman. I've discovered a picture of a guy in her purse. Cut a long story short, she's been having an affair. So she's left. He says, and I couldn't sleep. He says, so I had a 15-year-old bottle of Balvenie whiskey. He says, so I cracked it home. He says, and I've been drinking all night. He says, it got to about 8, 9 this morning, and I thought, there's no point in me going to bed. Playing Rangers in a couple of hours. He said, I've not been drinking the last few hours, so I should be all right. I'm like, Dylan, you'll not be able to play today. And he's like, no, honestly, Mavis, I feel great. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. We won the game 2-1. Honestly, Dylan got man of the match.
No way.
Brilliant. Loud. It's one of the quietest games I've ever saw. He was obviously still in that stage of drinking, but he was still half cut and he still had a buzz. So he probably crashed later on. But
What about the wife?
unbelievable.
Did you go back with her?
No,
That was it?
That was it.
That's incredible, isn't it? Really.
Ruffy, you must have a story. Ruffy, you must have a story like that.
The whole team know he was drunk.
Well, it
Did
was
you keep
funny.
it quiet? Did you grass him in?
I actually said to him, I said, you'll not be able to play. And he's like, no, I'll be all right, honestly. Bobby was the manager, so Bobby didn't realise, but obviously sometime between kick-off and the end of the game, somebody's either told him or he's realised. So he'd said to Dylan, look, Monday morning, I want you in. So I thought he was going to get hammered. But I think because we won the game, and then when Dylan's maybe told him the circumstances as why he was steaming, he's maybe felt sorry for him and he just let it go.
You must have just felt free, didn't he?
I think Bobby wouldn't, as long as you win the game. I remember, go back to Bobby Williamson about Hibs. Bobby came in as a manager of Hibs and we started the season, we went to Finland for pre-season. So he had me, Gary O'Connor, Derek Riordan, Bruni, quite a young team. So we get to the hotel in Finland.
You're a sensible one.
Aye, it's a Radisson hotel, Radisson Blue, right, lovely hotel. We're all like that, yes. There's a casino and a nightclub in the hotel. And I'm thinking, Bobby's not thought this through, right? So we get there, Bobby clocks it right away, he's like, he's fuming, he's like, right, anybody's in that casino or bar, they're 2 weeks' wages. I'm telling you, anybody's caught in there after 10 o'clock, you're fined 2 weeks' wages. So anyway, no bother, Bobby. So we train, first night, we're ball back in my room at 10 o'clock, we're all busting, mobbed, right? We're like, oh, dang, to get into this. So we're like, just get down, come on, he's not going to fine all his 2 weeks' wages. So I honest to God, 20s went down, right?
Full team?
Into the place, right, full team, just drinking. So I'm at the dessert table, right, at 12 o'clock, 12 in the morning, and I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's Bobby, and I'm thinking, oh, fuck, he's going to fine me 2 weeks' wages. And he goes, see you better buy me a whiskey. He says, what? He says, you better buy me a whiskey, and I know how much you're on, so it better not be a fucking shite one. And that was it. Bought me a whiskey, right? So, God strike me dead, we were in Finland for 8 days, right? We were in that place every night, right? We come back, first game of the season, beat 1-0 for Aberdeen. Second game of the season, beat 5-1 away to Hearts, Tynecastle. We lost 4 of the first 5 games. Bobby nearly got sacked. Nobody was fit, right? We went in pre-season, we were just drinking, right? About October, we went in a great run of form in October and it saved his job. But that was Bobby, aye. But he didn't, see, as long as you trained, as long as you trained hard, he didn't care what you done.
But it was the manager that used to catch you all the time. I don't know if you obviously get caught a lot, but when I had wee Bertie, he used to catch you all the time. I think he used to actually set you up to get caught. You know, we used to go up pre-season every year. We got up and play Brora and Inverness and all them. And he gave us a curfew at 10 o'clock. So I'm not coming back at 10 o'clock. If I'm going into Inverness, I'm not, because I had to sort of scale the place, because I was in the second story up my window.
Or something, the big place
I was up in the second story, so I found this big ladder, you know, that reached
to get up there.
my window, you know, so I'd go to all place and everything. for coming back. So I come back about 11 o'clock. No, you've had a lot of drink. You think you'll get away with it, don't you? You think you're not going to get caught now. No. So I'm up this ladder, right? I'm right at the top, and I just go to my window, and I was pleased as punch, you know. Next minute, the ladder started moving. Wee Bertie was at the boat and he pulled the ladder away from the wall. I'm about 30 feet up. He's going, "You all right up there, big man?" He was mental, so he was.
We went to Marbella with Kilmarnock, and Bobby was the manager. It was they had that 2-week winter break, mind they brought that in. So we went to this training camp in Marbella. So the African Nations Cup was on, so the Nigerian national squad were there. Heerenveen and Vitesse Arnhem were there for the Dutch league. So we're sharing this kind of complex. We've got allocated training times, so we've got there. Our training times were like 8 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. So we've got there on the Sunday. Bobby's like, "We'll no bother training. We're just going to go out and have a few beers and enjoy ourselves." But we had games arranged. So we had a game arranged against Heerenveen and then Vitesse Arnhem. Ronald Koeman was a manager at Vitesse Arnhem at the time. Van Hooijdonk was playing. I think Heerenveen at the time were leading the Dutch league. So the boys had been steaming for about 3 days. Played Heerenveen. I think we drew the game 1 each. And then the second game we're playing Vitesse Arnhem. Bobby's playing head tennis and Ronald Koeman's come out, a few of the boys. He's like, "Hi, I'm Ronald Koeman, manager of Vitesse Arnhem." He's like, "Where's your coach?" We're like, "That's him there." I'm like, "Bobby, Ronald Koeman's wanting to meet you, Ronald." So perfect time, because she's like, "Hi, I'm Ronald Koeman, manager of Vitesse Arnhem. How are you?" He's like, "We've been steaming all week." we beat them 2-1. And then we come back, the first game back, for the winter break, we played Celtic at Rugby Park and we draw with them. We hardly trained for 2 weeks.
Crazy.
We'd signed Tosh McKinley and Big Andy Smith at the time. Tosh was teetotal. I remember Tosh saying to me, "Mavis, what's going on here? I'd done my homework." Everybody says dead professional. And he says, "Went away." I meant, "Just forget about that couple of weeks, Tosh."
Jock Stein was like, "No, he would catch you." Jock Stein never slept. He used to sit in the corridors and sit at the front door and watch who was coming in and coming out. And we were playing. I was in the under-23 team at the time when we were in Germany. It was East Germany we were playing. And I was in the under-23s. And the under-23s always played the night before the full squad. We always travelled together, but we played the night before and we won 2-0. So Big Jock always had you in places that there was nowhere to go. Though, you know, he would say, "Right, just go out and relax, boys. You can have the night off." That was a good result.
Middle of nowhere. But we found out there was a British embassy and they had a wee club. So we all piled in there, you know, and get absolutely hammered. And we're all coming back about 3 in the morning. We're all carrying on, getting along the street and all that, getting back to the hotel. Jock Stein sitting at the front door. And everybody was getting in and he was just saying hello to everybody. And he says to me, "Hey, you, come here." I says, "What is it?" He says, "You've been drinking?" I said, "What does it look like?" I'm bouncing off the walls. And he says, "You better go and sober up. You're on the bench tomorrow." I went, "What?" He says, "You're on the bench. Stuart Kennedy's pulled out and you're on the bench." So I had to go up and try and get myself sober. And I remember it was a 1 o'clock kick-off. Honestly, I was thrown up all night. So moving on to the game, we're sitting on the bench. There was me, Kenny Dalglish, Tam Hutchison, and Charlie Cook, believe it or not. And I'm sitting on it and I'm thrown up on the bench in an international game. I've got a towel on my head, kidding on. I was the heat. And I've got the bucket and and Kenny Dalglish goes, "Oh, there, David Harvey's injured, you're on." I'm going, "Are you kidding me on?" Honestly, it was the worst ever. We've talked about your move to St Mirren. Gus McPherson took you to St Mirren. You won the championship with him. I'm just looking at some of the names. Good team. Young Charlie Adam in the team. Hugh Murray. How did that go at St Mirren? How did you got in?
It was great. I played with Gus for 11 years at Kilmarnock. No, he did well. I think the good thing with Gus, he brought in good experienced players. So he had Andy Millen at the time as well. Right. Kevin McGowan, Big Mixu, Pat Linan. And as you touched on, some good young boys as well. Obviously, Shuggy Murray, who's St Mirren legend, played all the games. So you had Shuggy and you had young guys like Kirk Broadfoot coming through. Signed Charlie Adam on loan. Charlie, to be fair, he'd that something a wee bit different. You know, he gave us that wee edge in terms of that ability Charlie had playing at that level. Big John Sutton up front as well, scoring the goals with Stuart Keane. So, that was a good side.
I think I was at Dundee at that time. I think he's maybe beat us to win the league at Love Street. No, it was a really, really strong team. It was Gus like as a player.
Very good player, Gus. Very underrated. Very steady. No many wingers get the better of him. Quite quick. But yeah, he was a 7, 8 out of 10 every week. You get the same performance for Gus most weeks. Very consistent.
Right. Obviously, Kilmarnock win the Scottish Cup. Do you feel like a Killie Kilmarnock legend? Obviously, yeah. That whole squad are Kilmarnock legends. I've spoke to you a few times before, and you kind of brush it off. But
I don't feel that way. I think I touched on early at the start of the show here. You know, we were aware that Kilmarnock would probably be a long time before you get an opportunity to win a cup, and that's no disrespect to Falkirk because they would have been the same. So we were aware of the pressure to win that game. Looking back, you don't really enjoy it. I heard an interview with Frank Lampard actually talking about when they won the Champions League. It was like that. Is that hit? I felt a wee bit like that. You know, when the final whistle went, it was more relief than.
Did you ever get invited back? Did you get invited back?
Kilmarnock are very good. Roughly, they've got they're very good in general with their ex-players. Kilmarnock, Ray Montgomery. Raymond's kind of heavily involved still, but with our. Not even just the cup team, but with ex-players in general, Kilmarnock are very good. Get ex-players down fairly regular at games and hospitality and all. They're good club, good family club.
What's your memories of the day beating Falkirk? Was it 1-0? Was it wee Bunyan scored the winner?
Bunyan scored, aye. It was a usual, typical Scottish Cup May day. It was warm, humid. The game itself was a bit of a blur. I can remember coming up in the bus and just blue and white everywhere. Obviously Falkirk as well. It's quite a. I think because it was Kilmarnock Falkirk, there was a really good family feel about the game, good atmosphere. The game itself, I can remember first half, without being great, I thought we were the better side, but Falkirk put us under a bit of pressure second half. I can remember when the final whistle went, actually thinking, that's not good enough, we could play much better, and we just won the cup. But that was probably me anyway, thinking like that, you know, you can always do better. But then you realise quite quickly, you know, it doesn't really matter. We've won the game.
You've not kept your medals or your strip?
No, I've gave
them away.
Well, Peter will go into me for that, but I've given them all away. I've not got anything.
I can't believe it.
Aye.
Is that just a charity thing? You just give them? You still got your medals, Ruffy? You still got your?
I've still got my League Cup medal, and a couple of championship medals. I've still got them. Aye.
Strips?
You do when you give them away. You know, sometimes they just disappear. You don't know where they are. I never kept a strip. No, I kept a strip. But these finals just go, don't they?
Aye.
They pass so quick, and particularly when you win it, you feel like getting up to the referee and going, "Can we start again?" As long as we win at the end, because it just passes by so quickly.
It does. I get picked.
Worse when you lose them.
I get picked for the drug test. Myself, we Tam Brown played with you, Ruffy. Me and me Tam get picked for the drug test after the game. So we held the team bus up because we're dehydrated. We were struggling to provide a urine sample. Eventually, we've got on the bus, and there was only one. The bus was mobbed. Everybody was on it. I didn't know who was on it. Directors, people who'd never saw it. So there was only one seat left, and a spare seat. And I sat down beside the guy. Didn't have a clue who he was. Get talking to him about the game, and I remember I had a pair of Adidas. I wore Adidas Predators, I think. But I hated changing my boots. So when my boots were done, I'd just keep wearing them. So I had big holes in my boots, and I had them taped up just to play. I wasn't breaking in. The guy's like, I was telling him the story, and he's like, "Should have came to me. I gave you a pair of boots." I'm like, "Sorry, who are you?" He's like, "It's Tom Hunter." Tom Hunter, he owned Sports Division at the time. He's like, "I gave you a pair of boots." So there was people in the team bus that didn't have a clue who they were, you know. But it was a great day, and then back with the open top bus and John Finney Street and that, it was brilliant.
That's memories that would last a lifetime. You still got all your strips, Scotty?
I've got some strips. I have gave a few away. A few Hibs ones, obviously, for moments where you maybe played better than others. I think you tend to give the ones away for games you want to forget. So I've got some of my medals still, and everything's at my mum's house.
How about your left foot strike in the Derby game? Do you keep that strip?
I've got that strip. I've still got that strip.
Surprised you reached the goal with your left peg.
Really?
Yeah.
one of the best goals scored.
No, it was that now only kidding. It was a great half volley.
Up until Sunday anyway. The big man pulled one out the back.
Jack Iredale.
I auctioned my League Cup jersey. We got beat in the final with Celtic. Larson got a hat-trick.
Right.
So I auctioned that for charity at Kilmarnock supporters do. So they had Ronaldo's Real Madrid jersey. That went for £1,000. And my Killie strip went for 1,500. So for one night and one night only, I was a better player than Ronaldo.
Was he the best player you played against, Larson, in Scotland, the Loudrop?
I would say Gascoigne.
Gascoigne?
Gascoigne, aye. Gascoigne.
So you were directly against him?
Aye, phenomenal.
In what sense? What was the struggles against? Well, I know we all talk about his ability, but
I think he had everything, Scott. You know, he was. I think he ran as quick with the ball at his feet as he did without the ball. He had the strength. He just put the elbows up, arms up, and hold you off. He was two-footed, so if you came for that side, he'd just move the ball to that side and hold you off. He was brilliant.
What about in terms of, like, would they speak to you in that during the game?
Aye, it was back then. Obviously, you could tackle.
Aye.
So,
did you give him one early doors?
Aye, I used to always. First chance I got, I would let him know. And I always knew his reaction, whether I was in for a right tough day. So there was one night at Ibrox, for example. First 5 minutes I've kind of left one on him, and the ball's quickly went down the left wing, and he's got up. He's just volleyed me, and I've got up, and then he's punched me, and I thought, I knew. And then 10 minutes later they've got a penalty, and I'm like, you're going to miss this tonight, because I knew he wasn't.
Aye. Because of the reaction.
Aye.
And he did. He missed it. And he's coming back. He's like, I can't believe I missed that. I'm like, you're hopeless, hopeless. And then a week later, he's up cuddling me before the game in the warm-up. We played him again the next week at Rugby Park, a game that had been postponed and rescheduled. And then he's up cuddling me before the game. He's like, sorry about that last week. I'm like, don't worry about it. And first 5 minutes, I've again left one on him, totally ignored me, got up, won me the game, and I thought, oh no, he just destroyed me all night. It was brilliant.
It is funny how that was the mentality, though, like, top player, I need to go out and leave one, because that was the way a lot of players played, especially in midfield, just cover up against guys like that.
Well, back then, first tackle was a freebie. You could have people.
No matter how bad it was, basically.
Aye, you got away with it.
But that was manager's theory, wasn't it? If you take out their best player, that's it. They're all going to struggle. So if you had somebody in your team that could, within the rules obviously, but make sure that they weren't going to be 100% for the rest of the game. That was the theory.
I remember one of the best ones I seen was it Vinnie Jones on Steve McMahon? Was it was it the FA Cup final? First 5 minutes, it was literally one of the worst tackles I've ever seen. And
no card.
Steve McMahon just got up and got on with it, and Vinnie Jones just patted him in the back, and they got on with the game. Like they knew it's like a 10-game ban, but that was Vinnie Jones just saying. And obviously, I think Wimbledon beat them that day.
That's right.
I think them as players, like guys like Gazza, expected that every game. Somebody's coming in to leave one on me.
Probably. It was that good, wasn't it?
Just way back then, you could get away with a sliding tackle. You could slide for like 10, 15 yards with your studs up, and as long as you got the ball and catch them, but you wouldn't get away with it now.
No.
A lot of the players.
Who's the best player you played with, Mavis?
I don't know, it's a hard one, isn't it? I think when you say best players, obviously defenders have got different qualities too. But in terms of ability-wise, forget, I made my debut at Motherwell behind Davy Cooper. Davy Cooper was phenomenal. Tam Burns, Durrant at Kilmarnock. Durrant was incredible at Kilmarnock. Big George McCluskey, great ability. Pat Nevin, great ability.
Good dressing room with Durrant.
Oh, Durrant and...
See the heart and soul of it.
Aye. He's so sharp. I mean, obviously having McCoist, they were like a double act. Aye. But Durrant is probably the only person I've came across that could actually get one up on him with a quick kind of comeback. He was very sharp.
What was McCoist like coming into that changing room?
The two, they were brilliant, Scott. I think they elevated the club to another level in terms of, I think because of the careers they had and they came, they kind of took the other players up with them another level. They trained really hard, but they were, every day was a scream. You didn't, you was waiting on them coming in every day, and there was some sort of prank or carry on or winding somebody up. They were brilliant. But as I say, they were winners. You could see, when training started, they were professional in the games as well. But it was a great dressing room.
Durrant played basically one leg at that time as well. His knee was...
Well,
Was he okay? Was he train a lot? Or was he?
I know he did. He did. I mean, obviously he had his wee kind of leg weights. He did his routine, but I think in terms of Ruffy will remember, like Terry McDermott, for example, at Liverpool, who was a box-to-box midfielder.
I had him as assistant manager, Terry McDermott, Birmingham City.
Durrant, he was that type of player early on in his career before he got his injury.
How good would he have been?
Well,
I think he'd have been
what I was going to say is he actually changed his game. So he was a box-to-box midfield player initially. Then he got that bad injury, and he had to change his game, and he became a playmaker. So I mean that shows you how good he was. He went from being a top box-to-box midfielder to a top playmaker, which is unusual. I think he would have went to. I think he would end up playing in Italy or somewhere. He was that good. He was brilliant.
Just talking about Kilmarnock, obviously this season struggling a wee bit towards the end. You still follow Kilmarnock, still go to their games?
I don't
Who do you think will get relegated this season? Do you think Kilmarnock will be in the mix?
I think their next run of games, Tam, are quite tough. I think they've got a good experienced manager in Derek. I think I've been surprised when you look at last season. You know, Kilmarnock had such a good season, and Hearts up there as well, and the two of them have been disappointing this season. I think Kilmarnock will have enough just to stay out of it, but they have got some tough games coming up.
Vassell's been a huge miss for them.
Aye.
I think having that leader. Who do you like in that team, the Kilmarnock team at the minute?
The young boy Watson's always the name that kind of pops up as, you know, potential.
Fraser Murray's had a decent season.
He has. He's done well. Come back into the team and done well.
He was brave enough to play two strikers.
He likes playing two strikers. He does.
Two strikers was at a stage were coming up goods. You know, they were scoring goals and winning games and that. I think that's one of the reasons it's dropped off a wee bit.
Yeah.
You know, that obviously the two big ones aren't there.
Yeah.
Do you see a massive difference in football now to when you played it? And what do you like about football now? What do you not like about football now? We were talking about tackles and stuff like that. Do you think that's the main difference?
I know we're having a laugh, but I think the game has almost become a non-contact sport now to a certain degree. I think for forward players, when you look back, you know, you like your Maradonas, your Georgie Best, and some of the treatment they got against Hafton 2 for behind. I think it's great that's went for the game, but I think it's went a wee bit too far, especially with the VAR coming in now. You know, any kind of, I mean, tackling is an art. You know, you could, some tackles, like slide tackles that you mentioned, Ruffy, you know,
timing, was it?
Timing, but sometimes there is a kind of natural with just the body position to follow through. But they've won the ball, but now you're getting bookings and red cards.
VAR.
Yeah, and even you're talking about body positions, natural positions. You see now defenders in the box defending with their arms behind that, and that's an unnatural position. So, yeah, I think it's went too far now. I think VAR, the concept and the idea.
Any changes to VAR?
I would just have it for like goal line technology as a ball over the line.
Right.
And then I would go back to just looking at, I know letting referees make decisions. I just think...
Did you change Rugby Park back to grass?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I played on Rugby Park.
It was always a good pitch.
It was
Used to be the best.
It was excellent.
Used to be the best.
Really
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they'd done a poll and how many football players actually enjoy playing in AstroTurf.
They did the PFA done it a few years ago, and everybody was to rate the pitches. It was, I think that's maybe why we've now got to the point where I think teams coming up will have to change back to grass, because the players were obviously rating the pitches. But obviously see Davy Martindale coming out last week after the game, and he's obviously followed the Astro because how poor
the
part was at Thistle.
Yeah.
A lot of the parts are looking pretty. Even the Premiership, they're looking pretty.
It's not as good as it was last year. You can definitely see that in some of the games. But
the weather's been terrible for a bit of year. We're talking about your career, Mavis, but we're going to move on to running. How did you get into not only running but insane long mental marathons? I know, obviously, your daughter has got Rett syndrome. Was that the main reason you got into the marathon and the long distance running?
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed training. So, in football, I enjoyed training. I didn't mind the running sessions. I was never quick, but my endurance was always decent. So I was always okay. But yeah, I retired in 2006. My daughter was born in 2008. Diagnosed a few years later. So it's probably around about 2011, just to raise some funds for the charity for reverse rate. I actually started with Big Kevin McGowan, did the Glasgow 10K. Right. And then it progressed for that. And
sorry, just before Rett syndrome, can you explain what Rett syndrome is?
It's basically a rare genetic condition. It mainly affects little girls, because we boys normally don't survive. It's to do with chromosomes, X and Y genes. So we girls have got the backup. So we boys don't normally survive. If they do, they don't live too long. So yeah, for birth, for about 6 months to 18 months, it can be fine, but it starts normally within that period we sign. So with my daughter, there was no sign of her walking, crawling, and she was continually refluxing, being sick constantly, which is a symptom of it. And there's always a regression, so every kid's different. Some kids can initially walk, some can't. My daughter's never really been able to walk. So they do require 24/7 care. As time goes on, a lot of respiratory issues, shortened lifespan, no communication. So yeah, it's a horrible condition.
How painful was that for you to deal with, obviously, your wee girl?
I mean, obviously, I actually got diagnosed on holiday in Florida, believe it or not. They couldn't diagnose her here because it's a rare condition. I was on holiday in Florida one year and it was raining. We were going to go to the theme park and ended up Googling a neurologist, and I was on 30 minutes away. And I just got an appointment, took her along, and he was actually shocked. He's like, how can you not get diagnosed in the UK? I don't understand. He says, I'll get a diagnosis within 3 weeks, just need to take bloods, pay for it here, and sure enough, 2 weeks later, he emailed to say your daughter's got a condition called Rett syndrome.
How did that work then, being diagnosed here? Obviously, the medical service here obviously couldn't help you. Did they kind of records get passed across and then?
Yeah, exactly that, Scott. First, as soon as we found out, went to our GP right away. GP hadn't heard on it, Googled it, and then we took the medical records that the doctor, the tests and everything he'd done in America, sent over to confirm it. And yeah, so
the GP and that they had.
No, as a rare condition, I think that was one of the reasons I started doing it, was to try and
to raise awareness.
To raise awareness as much as a little bit of funds. So so going back to that, so then I kind of went from
the 10Ks to the Marathon Disabled, which is a 7-day ultra marathon.
Yeah,
done the ultra.
Yeah, I did the Marathon Disabled's a 250 kilometre multi-day event in the Sahara Desert. So it's different distances every day, but it can averages to a marathon distance every day. But different terrains, and there's always a long day in it, like 90 kilometres or whatever. You're self-sufficient, so you've got to take everything that you're going to eat for the week with you. The only thing they provide you with is water. The year I did the Marathon Disabled was the hottest in history. It was a freak year. It was during COVID, so they had postponed it, and then they put it back to October. So they've never ran the race in October. So because it was the end of the summer in the Sahara, but it was a particularly hot year that year in the Sahara, so the temperatures were reaching 60 degrees every day.
While we
were doing it. So the guy in my tent, it was quite tragic, the guy in my tent took a cardiac arrest. He was dead for less than 2 minutes, but they managed to pull him back. And there was a French guy, I think he was 51, he died in day 2 doing it. So it was quite a brutal race.
How's the body feeling during that?
Do you know, it was helpful when there was a sort of digress against no quite. Pre-season training helped for it, because it was similar. You're waking up every morning, your body's in bits, probably similar to pre-season training. And you think, you wake up in the morning pre-season.
We didn't do it in the Sahara though.
I'm never going to be able to run today. And then you get up, and before you know it, you start going again. But there was a stomach bug that year as well that ravaged the camp, so like half the people had sickness and diarrhoea, and I had it before the race started, so that made it even tougher.
So 90k you done in one day?
Aye, they always have a long day.
Have you got earphones on?
No.
I think I've done that in my career.
So no earphones?
No.
Running partners of that?
Well, because you end up kind of meeting people and you kind of tag along maybe with somebody if you want. So there was a military tent next there, so I actually tagged along with a guy he was a cracking guy, ex-Marine young guy, so I done a wee bit of the long day with him.
Was it more a psychology thing? Was it a mental thing?
So you can imagine the conversations you're having with yourself during
Was there at a point you thought, I can't do this? Or were you just strong mentally as if I'm going to batter through?
No, day 4, the long day, I mean, I had been surviving and a couple of packets of fruit pastels and some nuts every day. I couldn't eat anything else because I was just vomiting it back up. And day 4, it was the middle of the night and I'd got to one of the checkpoints and I can remember lying down. The sand was everywhere. I put my backpack as a pillow and I was lying in that. There was a French guy lying beside me. And I can remember looking, it was pitch black, and I'm thinking, this is just the most desolate place in the world. And then the doctor came to me and I said, look, doctor, can you give me a tablet or anything from sickness and diarrhoea? This was Wednesday or Thursday. And she says, how long have you been sick for? And I said, since Saturday. She says, you need to eat what you've been eating. I said, no, I'm eating. She says, what you eating? Show me. And I had 2 fruit pastels I'd ate, so I pulled a packet of fruit pastels out. I said, look, I'm eating. She says, that's no food. She says, I'm going to go and treat somebody. She says, you need to eat. I'll come back, and if you've not ate anything, I'm going to pull you at the race because you need to eat. And I went, right, okay. And do you know that way I lay down and I was just looking and I thought, oh, my race is done. I thought, this is the most desolate place in the world. And I thought of my daughter and I actually started getting emotional. And I was lying there sobbing like a wee kid. And I thought, my daughter can't walk, she can't talk, can't do anything. And I'm moaning because I've got sickness and diarrhoea and I can't eat. And it was just like a shift in my mindset. I went from thinking this is the most desolate place in the world to I just relaxed and looked and I was looking at the stars and I'm like, these stars are beautiful. So I went for, this is so peaceful, this is amazing. And it gave me a wee boost of energy. And I actually thought, I'm getting back up and I'm just going to go before this doctor comes back and pulls me out. So I got away, got battered on and away I went.
Ruffy, you're looking at Mark and you can't relate to him in any way, can you?
No.
That's incredible.
I could never do any long distance pre-season.
I hated it as well.
Pre-season, you know, you used to turn up, didn't you? And the trainer would go, right, get your trainers on, we're going on a 5-mile run or something like that. And I don't know about you, but you know they're running. Nobody all runs at the same level or the same distance. And usually the goalkeepers are at the back, you know.
Not anymore.
I know I always used to take a couple of quid with me and jump in a taxi and catch up with everybody before we go back to the park. But that length of running is amazing. I don't think there's many football players could do that.
You do the Amazon jungle, Ruffy.
I think most footballers would probably get injured very, very quick with knees, tendinitis, or that. I get sore feet a lot of the time, like with plantar fasciitis. I can only imagine what it'd be like after doing like an ultra marathon.
I done the Amazon jungle last year, 230 kilometres through the jungle. That was brilliant. 230, 230.
Snakes, panthers, stuff like that.
Snakes, saw some monkeys, get bit in the eye with a spider, ants, get bit with ants, saw a snake. But believe it or not, the animals avoid you. The ones that you worry about, like the...
What type of terrain's that now? Isn't it all different, I take it?
Oh, all different. We went for...
Pouring down the rain, then sunny, then...
We went for concrete roads into trail, into jungle, dense jungle, through... We had one section was 12 kilometres through a river up to here, with slippy rocks underneath, so it was like the moss-covered rocks underfoot. So you were slipping and you were falling, you were smashing your knees everywhere, blood everywhere with the rocks. It was.
I'm just thinking about I couldn't do 5k at Shattle Road.
I'm just imagine the feeling after finishing something like that.
Was it a pure elation or relief?
Like? I think it's none of doubt you suffer, but I think seeing you've got a purpose. See, like because when I'm struggling,
have you kept your medals for the marathons? Tell me, aye.
They're in a drawer somewhere. I will not give them away because nobody will take them.
I'll take one, kid, or a
So what's your next? What's coming up?
Have you got one mental challenge that you think I want to do that?
There's so many. There's so many races out there. Is
that the hardest one you could do?
I think they say the jungles kind of. It's out there as the toughest, but I would think out the two of them, I always get asked what one was the toughest. I think the desert was tougher just because of the actual heat and the humidity.
Would you be more prouder of completing one of them than winning a Scottish Cup in your football career?
No, I think, you know, that's a common question as well. See, when you think it, Scott MD can sign up for these events and go and do it. Ruffy could sign up and go and do it.
I know, but I think you're giving yourself an injustice
through
because
the jungle next year if you wanted a wee bit of training.
But no many people's bodies could do that.
I know, but you can't sign up for a Scottish Cup winners medal, can you? You know, and then you bring so many people so much joy. You know, a provincial club, you know, supporters for that day. Yeah. You know, you think, well, maybe never win it again in my lifetime.
Ruffy, what's the most daring thing you've done in your life?
Daring? There's definitely no running for us. Scuba diving. I just panicked. Any fish that came towards me. There was one that looked like a shark, and that was it. I never go in the water again. Never.
Did you keep your snorkel for that day as a memento?
No.
Scott, most daring thing you've done?
I don't like roller coasters, don't like
I'm the same.
sort of things.
I remember going to teacups things, you'd get around circles at the fair.
Yeah, the
I've violently owned one of them. So, do you miss the dressing room? Is that finally before we wrap it up? What's the most thing you miss about football? Was it the dressing room?
Obviously, most of your career you were a team player. How do you then adapt to being an individual? And it's all yourself, it's all the running and the mental bit of running. When as a player, you've got people to bounce off of. How did you adapt to that? I think that's incredible.
I think because of the why am I running? And I think if probably looking back, you know, if my daughter hadn't had the condition, I've got a purpose. I'm doing it for my daughter and other kids with this condition. So I think that gives you that drive and determination, which to a certain degree, you know, I probably had playing football. But as you say, you're part of a team. And
I think, if we're all honest though, in terms of a journey to try and get to a first team, a lot of it is the character of how you are, because there's 15 years on the youth team want to get into the first team. A lot of that comes down to who you're going to, what type of crowd you're going to go into. Are you going to be self-disciplined? A lot of boys don't, and then 5 years down the line say so. There is a lot of that looking back at your own personality to get to there, then you become part of the team, especially when you're coming through. I definitely felt that way.
I think football's quite unique, Scott, as well, where, like, for example, if you're my teammate, if me and your teammates, but the two of us are central midfield players, you know, we're meant to be teammates and go on, but I could be competing against you to play on a Saturday. And I think football's quite unique with that, to keep that harmony in the majority of dressing rooms, and that seems to work quite well. It's something I think that's overlooked, because it is true. I could be competing with you to play every week.
Yeah. And especially as a young player, you're competing with 2 years above you, 2 years 2 years below you.
Yeah.
Dressing room, before Ruffy rudely interrupted me. Do you miss the dressing room?
Aye, I think you look back at your times at playing football as best times of your life, and you know, everybody says it goes by quickly, and it does. The years do go by quickly, but I think it's important in life as well that you try and adapt to change in your life. Everybody experiences change in their life, and if you can adapt to that change and look at whatever your next venture is or whatever you're doing next in your life, you embrace that, I think you end up a more content, happier person. So I think you do need to adapt to that change. But the dressing rooms were great.
Do you agree with that, Ruffy?
Yeah,
after your career finished?
I think we've spoken about it tons of times. Having the chance to play professional football player and mixing in the dressing room and doing something you've always wanted to do your whole life. You know, it's something that a lot of people, there's thousands of people haven't experienced it, and unless you have experienced it, you know, it's difficult to say how much a joy it is, although there's pressure that comes with it, but the majority of it is you've got to enjoy it.
And I think, as we've touched on, we've shared some funny stories in this year, but every dressing room at every club, there's camaraderie and there's funny stories.
No, you're right.
It's a special place, isn't it?
The dressing room, that's probably the one thing that I miss. I don't necessarily miss the pressure of having to win every week and stuff like that, and playing on a Saturday. I miss the Monday to Friday, the training and the banter. Do you still enjoy it now, Scott? Obviously, you're still involved in football. You still enjoy the patter and the banter.
Yeah,
or do you prefer the Saturday going and winning and playing?
It's the whole week for me. I think the thing for me that I maybe miss is obviously the bigger atmospheres, and maybe I'm more nervous the higher the level you play at. I think that I would miss that. But like I said,
has the dressing room changed any? Away way back to your early days, or where you are?
Yeah. From when I first started, it was a lot more ruthless, but that was just how we all came through it. I touched on the show a few weeks ago. There was 18 of us living in a house in Dundee, so you were well prepared by the time you got to the first team in terms of camaraderie and maybe taking a bit of stick off boys. But as the years have got on, some people have their own routines. They maybe have the headphones on, whereas when I was going the bus at the start, everybody spoke to each other. For me, that's been a big change. Not everybody speaks. They have their own kind of pre-match routines. But there's nothing. But the one thing that never changes is when you win, that feeling when you come in at the end of a game.
Mark, you've been honestly very inspirational today. Last question before we go. What's the best piece of advice you've had from either a teammate or a manager in your career?
The best bit of advice I got was for the late great Tam Burns. When I was a young player, he said to me, "Get up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to do my best today." He says, and genuinely before you go to bed at night, look yourself in the mirror again and say, be honest, did you do your best? Said you'll have good days, you'll have bad days, but see if you do your best every day, you'll have no regrets in your football career. And it was so true. And I think the moral of that story is go and work hard and give yourself the best chance and do what you can do again. Going back for young players, there's good pros at every club. For young players, identify who the good pros are, study them, ask them questions, watch them, how they train, how they play, and work hard, do your best, listen to your coaches. And no matter what happens, you have no regrets.
I think we can leave it at that. That was great advice. Listen, it's been great to have Scott, Allan and particularly Mark Reilly in today. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the PLZ YouTube channel.